Hi, this is Carmen Long, and I am a Master's of Instructional Technology candidate. I'm finishing up the program at Kennesaw State University. This recording is to highlight the work that I did in my capstone project for the program. I am doing or reporting on the work that I completed that was designed to show the relationship of synchronous attendance in course grades in high school virtual education. And the two courses that I used to compare were 11th grade English and 11th grade advanced algebra. Um, I have a long history of working in the world of education. I did teach in a traditional brick and mortar classroom in a Gwinnett County school for 3 years, and I homeschooled my own children for 9 years. I worked through seventh period and summer school classes, and I also became an adjunct teacher for the Department of Education through their Georgia Virtual School program for 7 years. Not solid, I had some semesters off. um, I taught 2 years at a university model school in Hall County, and that was a very interesting platform, and I really enjoyed the time there. And then I did 2.5 years at Georgia Cyber Academy, the K-12 school in the state of Georgia, and now I'm currently on my third school year at Georgia Connections Academy, and that is the Connections Education School in the state of Georgia. The question that I wanted to answer, and I came about because I felt like the answer would be yes. So I wanted to see, does the data support that thought? Does the number of hours spent in a synchronous session, in the live sessions with the teacher and the student in the session, affect the course average for the students that are enrolled in this full-time public high school that is an online platform? The evaluation plan kind of went through a whole entire semester. In January, I just wanted to gather the data and find all of the information that I needed. And then February, I started the merge and the sort and trying to make sure everything was formatted in the way it needed to be so that the graphs and the charts worked out correctly. I also started working on the development of the graphs and the charts and making sure that those reflected the data correctly. I worked with a statistician to make sure that I was analyzing and I was representing what I was seeing correctly. And then in March, I shared those presentations and I continued the write up on the capstone. And here in April, I'm finishing up the reporting part and making sure that I have all of the criteria completed for the Masters of Education program. So one of the resulting graphs that I had was this one. And in this link, I do have a presentation that I put together for the administration at the school and the leadership at the school. And I shared that information with some of the lead teachers, and everybody was pretty interested. And at first, when you look at this, it kind of looks a little disorienting, but when you understand what you're seeing with the scatter plot, you realize that yes, there's a positive relationship between the number of hours that students spend in the live synchronous sessions with the teachers and their grades. However, there's a lot of students who do really well just using the digital curriculum and the items that they do in the independent learning. So the correlation coefficient is not close to 1. And what that tells us is, that it's not causal. The amount of time in live lesson cannot be used to um, make interpretations or suggestions about what will help students be successful in the future. If the correlation coefficient had been close to 1, then that would be a different situation. So that's kind of what I wanted to share. And this chart does disclude the outlying data. The statistician told me that's often what we want to do, but as you see, the correlation coefficient with the outliers and without the outliers is really not that different. And this chart is for the advanced algebra, the math course. And now you see the data with the English course, and it's the same situation. The correlation coefficient is a little closer to 1, but not significantly closer. It's only like hundredths, a very small difference. And with the outlying data and with the outlying data and without it, it really did not make much difference. So those are the two kind of summarized graphs that I included in the information that I submitted to the administrators at the school. So in the slide previously, you did have the link to that recording, and you're welcome to watch that and view that if you want the full information about the data and the information that I shared with them. So what does that tell us, and where are we at with that? So this is kind of a summary again of how I evaluated the objectives of the proposed capstone, and what I did, and I just collected all of the data that I needed, and then I analyzed it, and then I made the charts and graphs, and then I developed the report that showed what the data shared. And this is similar to the evaluation plan. It just doesn't have the dates on it, so that's something I wanted to make sure to highlight. Yeah. Okay, so what did it tell us? What did we gain for it? And I kind of alluded to this a minute ago. You know, that the correlation coefficient does not give us anything that we can use as far as making an assumption that the time in synchronous sessions will improve a student's course grade. We do see that some students do have better averages that come to the live sessions, but not everybody. And then the other thing that we see that, you know, that the students do have course grades that are good without the live lesson attendance. And so, you know, it's a positive relationship because we do have a positive slope, but it's not causal. So that's kind of what the data tells us. And that is not what I expected, but that's what the data tells us. So we have to move forward. And what do we do with that? You know, how do we move forward with that? You know, and this is kind of, it really just opens up more questions, and it really just says to us, we have more work to do to understand what helps students be successful. It's not what I thought, and I'm always trying to encourage students to come to live lesson, and so that I can help them. And you know, maybe for some students that is one of the parts and the things that they need to do to be successful, but we cannot say that all students need to do that in order to be successful. So what our job is going to be is to figure out how to come up with a list of things that do help students be successful, and then help the students figure out what of that list is beneficial to them. Education and the process of learning is very independent, and it's very individual. And as online teachers and online administrators, I think that we need to understand that. And we can't say this one thing will make you successful, because this data shows that that is not the case. And so I think that this is a starting point. This is one thing that needs to be on the list, attending those synchronous sessions, because for some students it was beneficial, but not for all. So we need a full list of items that students, you know, activities that students do, study habits that students complete, supports that they have in place to help students be successful. And then our job is going to be to find a way to help those students go through that list and figure out what works for each student individually. And so this capstone really did not turn out the way I thought it would. And so I just have to keep that in mind, and I have to remind myself that when I'm working with my students, that it's okay if attending those live sessions is not the thing that works for them, but I can't leave it at that, and I have to find what else is possible to suggest, and I have to continue to look for ways to help students be successful. And so you know, what's next is keep finding out ways that students do use that help them be successful in our learning environment, and then make sure that all of the students are developing that list for themselves. And then I just have some acknowledgments that, you know, I did use Microsoft Excel and Adobe Presenter. This recording is being used with Screencast-O-Matic, and I did not put that on the list, but it definitely is something that I utilize sometimes. Connexus is the learning management system at the school that I work at, and we use that to gather the data, and a lot of the information was already posted in there, so I had to go get that for last school year. And then Beth Hart is my statistician expert that I communicated with about those statistical analysis, and I wanted to make sure to mention that I appreciated her help. Hopefully this is what I needed to put together so that you all could have a little snapshot and a little summary of the work that I did and what it told me. So definitely have a lot of work to do to continue to follow up with it, and I'm excited to continue to develop those lists for students to have a choice of items that help them be successful in their schoolwork in our online virtual program. And hopefully that'll help students be better virtual students in the future.